Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Bitcoin. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so before we get into the micro count here, we're just going to go over a couple of potentials of what we are looking for. So still looking at this primarily as a W, X, and a Y. Now we could argue that this X wave is still in play, in which case we're going to be looking for a push up here towards this 28,270 to this 29,980 as a possible target. Now, as well as that, we could also argue that this X wave is actually completed here, and we could actually be looking for a breakdown directly, looking for one of these lower targets here. We have hit the 0.618, but I would not like to say it's completed, because if this is an X wave, this would have been a very short Y wave in place here like this. Now, we could also argue that this is W, X, Y, X, and Z, in which case we could actually have a completed move here. So we need to be careful of a bigger move to the upside. Once again, it's going to be crucial in this zone that we have highlighted here as a resistance box that we could still face rejection, even if this is W, X, Y, X, and Z into this low here. So we'd still be looking at this potential for a rejection up in this area. Alternatively, we could actually start to form a bigger 5-wave move, which could mean that we start to trend to the upside. So we're going to go over that in a second. We're going to focus on this first, and we're going to talk about two things. So if we are still within this X wave here, what we could actually see is that price could actually still be forming something like this as a flat. Now, even if we do push down towards the zone of this 24,870, because of the nature of this move to the downside here, it is looking very corrective, and it's hard to label this as a Y wave because we don't have an A, B, and a C at this point. We just have we'd have to label this W, X, and Y currently. So if we do develop a 5-wave move here, then potentially we could actually be looking for the Y wave, actually looking at this as A, B, and then seeing a C wave to the downside. Now, until we actually get that, we need to be aware that there is still this potential for this push to the upside. And given our current level, what we would look for here as a potential flat correction would actually be higher up here towards the zone of this 29,669 to this 28,588. So this would actually be looking to bring us back up and sweeping these highs here of this 28,447. Now we could also get something like a running flat, in which case we actually look to only target out towards this 1-to-1 here, but it is not likely, given the fact that if this is going to look for a C wave up from our current location, this would be quite a big wave 1. So it would be less likely that, we're going to finish here unless we form some kind of a diagonal to the upside here, which might actually make it fall lower down in this target box. So with that in mind, what we are talking about here is the potential that we could actually see this play out as an A, B, and a C to the upside. If we do, however, get a move up to this 1-to-1 here, we need to be aware that because if we are looking at this as an X wave, we could also potentially count this as W, this is X, and then we get A, B, C, and that's a Y wave, and we actually look to complete towards this top trend line here, towards this 27,939. So this would also look to bring us back up into our little target box we've got here at this 28,039 to this 27,938 level. So if we do see price actually move back up here into this level, that could actually tie in with this. Actually, instead of being a ABC as a flat, we could have a WXY. Now the reason I'm looking at this as a flat correction is because typically speaking, WXYs won't take the origin of the W wave. So it can happen, but most of the times we don't. Normally when we get a break of this origin move, it turns out to be a flat correction. Okay, so if we're arguing that we're looking for this flat from our current location, what we would need to do is actually maintain this low. So we need to maintain this 25,351, and what we'd be looking for would be the potential of either this as a C wave to the upside here towards this 27,405, or alternatively a wave 3 up here towards this 28,749. Now if we did get a push up to this 1.618 up here, then we would be looking for that potential of an additional 4th wave and a 5th wave, which could look to push us up into this zone of the 29,596 to this 29,065 level. So this is going to be our C wave target if we actually look to develop a impulsive move to the upside. Now with this, what we could also just see is a 3-wave move. Now if we only get a 3-wave move here, we have a couple of options as to what this can be. Now if we just get an A, B, and a C, and potentially we look to push up towards this 1-to-1, forming a triple top here, what we could actually see is price start to fall away from this level and actually look to move back down into this trend line. So if we're looking at that potential of this as ABC to the upside, this is also still viable for as long as we hold this 25,000 351. Technically speaking though, if we want to argue that this move here is a three-wave move as a flat correction, though I don't like looking at it because of the extension length of the C wave, we could argue that technically speaking, even if we do see a break of this low, we could see a 5-wave move up as an expanding flat. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. That is just something that is also we need to keep an eye on and just, you know, monitor. So looking at this potential of a B wave here, we discussed this in two ways. We were saying that this could be A, this could be B, and we could be looking for this C wave to the downside. Now we did actually form another low here. Now the question within this count here is, because this move came up so high, is whether this is actually a 4th wave and then we've had a 5th wave, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or whether this is actually the beginning of another move. So the key thing here is actually going to be this high here of this 26,149. If we fail to break back above this, we need to be very cautious, because there's always the potential this could become 1, 2. Then we have 1, 2 here, and then we actually look to break down in a bigger way. So it's going to be crucial, if we're looking for that potential of upside, to actually take this high out again. And really we want to get back above this one here of this 26,785 for, you know, more confirmation that this is actually completed. Until we do, we need to just be aware that this could actually still look to continue to the downside. So we're talking about a couple of things within this wave. We're talking about the possibility that this could be 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we had this is 3, 4, 5 into this low, and then we're looking for an additional 4th and a 5th. Now, I don't like looking at it this way anymore because of the size of this move here. It would make more sense rather that we actually have this yellow count in play, where we have this as 1, 2, 3, looking at this as a flat correction for a 4. Now, this would make more sense because we would have had a very shallow wave 2, very deep wave 4. Now, if this is the case, this means that we've actually come down into the target area for this 5th wave. Obviously, we did come up higher, so this would have changed the target area, but we have actually come down in a 5-wave move. Now, like I said, we need to be cautious here, because we could also argue that actually our 4th wave is over here, and we had a 5th wave down into this low, something like a triangle is A, B, C, D, and E. And then we have this as a 5-wave move to the downside. So because of that fact, we need to be cautious on this move here. Like I said, we need to break back above this high for more confirmation that it is complete. I am preferring to look at it in this way at the moment. But if we do actually start to break down deeper, we need to be cautious of that idea that we could actually see price action start to make its way down towards this 1.618 of this first move here, where this would be a wave 1, 2, then it would actually be still within this bigger wave 3 here. Now, if this does look to extend out, potentially given the current structure, this could actually mean we see price rather move down towards this 2618 for this 3rd wave, where we would actually see this come in potentially towards this 23,660. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. If this is an additional 1 and a 2 here, this could mean that we actually see price start to fall off something like this, in which case, you know, that would then mean that we actually got this wave 3 still extending out. So we got to be cautious until we actually break this high point here of this 26,783. We need to be aware of that downside potential. So coming back to this B wave here, what we could actually have within this is that this could actually be a W wave, this could be an X wave, and we could see this as a Y wave. Now, if this is a Y wave, we do have a 3-wave move here, which would actually account for the idea that this is a B wave still in play, rather than the next move to the downside as that Y wave. Now, if we are looking at this in this way, what we could then be arguing is that if this is a W wave, this is an X wave, what we could actually still see is this could be A, we could see B, and we could see C to the downside. Now, if that's the case, what we would actually be looking for would be more something along these lines. So this is why I say it's going to be crucial for us to actually get back above some of these highs here and actually look to move away here. Until we do, what we could see is price actually start to form in this channel in this way, where this is a wave to the downside. We could see a B wave to the upside here. It's A, B, C, looking to target out this 26,116 to this 26,943 in a 3-wave move. Now, we could actually just get something simple like this, where we come back into this 50% line here, look to retest these levels. Or alternatively, if we do look to push up higher here, we do have the golden pocket sitting towards the zone of this 26,662 to this 26,596. Now, this would be potentially looking to actually sweep these highs over here before looking for that continuation to the downside. Now, if we did have to move up towards this golden pocket area, what we would be looking for is a 1-to-1 to the downside would actually be this 24,623. Now, if I overlay this again, this would actually look to bring us down past this 1.382, which would be this 24,870. Now, if we do actually see price break down into this level, I would be keeping an eye on this 1.382. because technically speaking, this as a, B, and a C, the minimum requirement would actually be setting here a potential triple bottom. So keep an eye on this level as well. If we do see price move up in just 3 waves like this, A, B, C, and then we see another 3-wave move to the downside, keep an eye on these levels here. What we could actually see is price come back into these levels and then actually look to complete into these lows. Or alternatively, you know, we've got these lower targets, this 25,225 to this 24,870. So keep an eye on these levels. We do have the 786 sitting here at this 25k region, and the 0.618 is sitting here at this 25,360. Talking about the potential of this X wave actually being over here, what we could still see is that we could still be within this B wave. So this is looking at the move as actually not looking for that potential bigger push to the upside here, but rather that we are looking for the potential of this actually looking to complete a Y wave, where we're looking for this as an A, a B, and then a C wave to the upside. Now what we would then be looking for is the potential to actually come up higher here. So this ties into that idea of this 3-wave move to the upside, looking to bring us back up into this channel. Now the typical zone for rejection here will be this 27,948 to this lower range here, which we've already come into, this 26,776. If we do see price actually push up here in just a 3-wave move, this could then actually tie in with this idea of getting this is A, B, C here, and then we'd be looking for a 5-wave move to the downside to complete this bigger WXY pattern. Now, if this is the case, what we could then see is price actually look to push down from this higher region, looking to either target out this lower range here of this 0.618 at this 25,509, or alternatively, if we do look to push down, we could actually see a 1-to-1 come in here towards this 24,411 region. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. Obviously, we need to wait and see how this move confirms. If we continue to hold this low and we start to push away here, where we form this as a 1-2, possibly another 1-2, what we could actually see is price could actually start to gravitate its way back up into these higher levels. Now next week there is a lot of market news coming out, so we need to just be aware of that, that if we do start to set up for some 1s and 2s here, this could actually signal that idea of that bigger push to the upside. So we're going to have to keep an eye on what happens next week. It's going to be a big week, I think. Finally, covering the idea of this as a breakdown, what we were talking about here is the potential that we could still see this as a bigger impulse. We're arguing that this is 1-2, 1-2, and then we could actually be looking for a bigger break to the downside. If we start to break down directly past this 24,076, we need to be aware there is this potential that within this structure, we're just building a series of 1s and 2s looking to actually have a bigger breakdown. So this is also ties into that idea, you know, of next week being a big news week, that if we do have a series of 1s and 2s here building up like this, what this could mean is that we could actually start to see some bigger rejection coming into the next week. Now looking at this move in the more local time here, what we're talking about is that possibility of a 1.618 coming down here towards this 24,808. Now we haven't invalidated this. Technically speaking, we could argue that this is a 3rd wave here, and we're getting something like a 4th wave in a triangle here, and this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where price just hasn't actually reached the 1.618. But typically speaking, we want to see this hit this 1.618 for more clarity on the move. Like I said, we need to be careful that this isn't in fact another 1-2 here, and then we actually look to break down deeper, where this all becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'd actually have that 3rd wave playing out a lot deeper here. So need to keep an eye on those levels. That 2.618, like I said, could be a potential area that we actually look to target out if we do start to break down in a bigger way. Okay, so these weekly CPRs that we're going to be looking at are valid until reset tonight. So what I'm looking for here is the potential that we have actually come down again and found support on this R2 line like we were discussing yesterday. Now, the fact we started to move away from this, we could potentially argue that price could be starting to build structure here to the upside. But like I said, we need to get back above these highs for more confidence. And given the current structure here, what I'd want to see is actually a move back above this 1.618 here, this 26,584 as more indication that we're actually starting to move away from this. Now, what we'd want to see is something like this, where this becomes 1-2, then we'd see a 3, 4, and a 5. And then we'd want to see price actually look to find support above these levels again, and then look to continue to the upside. So that would be how we would be looking for that breakout to unfold. Until we actually do that, we need to be aware there is always still the potential that we could see price be gravitated towards this R3 line here, this 24,318. So that would be probably tying in more to the idea here that if we did maintain this high, what we could see is actually price fall away in this way, where this becomes 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 for 3, where then we'd be looking for that continuation to the downside. So need to keep an eye on this high here. It's going to be a important level. Having a look at the CPR here on the monthly, what we can see is we're still holding this R1 line. For as long as we continue to hold this R1 line, potentially what we could see is price be gravitated back up here towards these central CPR lines. Now these are sitting towards this 27,815 and this higher area, this lower area here of this 27,416. If we do see price actually start to move to the upside here in that 5-wave move, that could actually tie in with that 1-to-1 to the upside. So I would be keeping an eye on these levels. Alternatively, if we do see price actually move higher up here, this 29,421 would actually tie into that idea of coming back up here into this X-wave target box. So we need to be on the lookout for this. There is still, that much more bullish case where we could actually say we've got that WXY completed here and we're going to see a much bigger 5-wave move, but really we need to see the price action following through for us to actually look at that properly, because at the moment it just doesn't look complete, this move. So that's why I'm still looking at this as potentially within a correction. Okay, so looking at the Ichimoku cloud here on the 1 hourly, what we can see is that we have this cloud actually built up here. We have been trying to get back above this conversion line towards this 25,753, but we are struggling here. So if we just see price actually have a 3-wave move, something like this, coming back into the central channel line or potentially the top of this Ichimoku cloud here at this 26,369, what we could see is price actually look to reject off these levels. The baseline is also sitting here, which could be potential resistance towards this 26k region, as well as we have the bottom of the cloud in this zone. Now if we come onto the 4 hourly, what we can see is the cloud is much higher. We have the potential of this conversion line rejection off this 26,082, the baseline up here at this 26,407, and then we have the cloud building up higher above us towards this 26,647 and this higher range of this 26,902. So even if we do see a slightly higher push here, need to be keeping an eye on this until we get good structure. 3 waves into this would indicate we're going to get a rejection. Once again, on the 8 hourly, the conversion line is sitting just above this central channel line, so be keeping an eye on this if we do see price move up here. Alternatively, we also do have this baseline sitting up here towards this 26,903, which could offer us resistance. As well as that, we do have the cloud much higher up here towards this 27,326 and the higher range here of this 27,925. Now, the important thing with this is what I'd be looking for here is that potential that if we do form a 3-wave move to the upside, looking to come into this channel, potentially this would be an interesting area of resistance. Coming back here onto the daily, what we can see here is if we actually do see price break down one more time, we do have the daily cloud sitting here towards this 25,275. So I would be keeping an eye on that. If we see price actually just break to the downside one more time, where we actually see this as 1 2 3 4 and we're still looking for a 5th wave, I would be very interested to see how we react around this 25,283. Now this would be an important level because this would also be coming back into some of these previous highs that we've got over here, so it would be a retest of this zone. If we do look to actually push into this, I would be interested to see how we react. If we wick through this, break back up, find support, what this could actually mean is we could see price start to move back to the upside here. Obviously we need to wait for that kind of confirmation with that. Okay, so looking at some ranges here, what we can see is that we are below the value area high of this little local range here. Now, if we do see price move back to the upside here, back into the central channel line, this would actually also align with a retest of the point of control of this smaller range, which is sitting here towards this 26,375. As well as that, if we do see price actually push a little bit higher here and actually look to sweep these highs, we do have the point of control sitting up here towards this 26,860. That we do have this value area high, which would tie in with that idea of this is ABC sitting up here towards us 27,466. If we do see price actually move up higher and we look to interact with this channel, what we can see is of this bigger range that we've got here, we do have the point of control sitting up here towards these highs of this 28k region. So that would also be a psychological level, looking to retest potentially the bottom of this channel, the top of this channel, and we do have some naked points of control inside this little area as well. So I would be keeping an eye on that if we do actually look to move up into this zone. Once again, we were also talking about that possibility that if we do see price actually just break down here, what we do have is this little volume node of this zone here, which is sitting towards this 24,7 24.92. This brings us back into this potential area, this target box of this 24.821 to this 24.688. As well as that, we do have this value area high of this previous range that is sitting within this level. So this would be a particularly interesting zone if we do look to break down here one more time and we actually look to retest this channel. I would be keeping an eye on this level to see if we get a reaction to the upside. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. See you in the next one. Take care.